While men's porn habits are discussed openly, women's porn consumption remains society's best kept secret. But today, I'm pulling back the curtain on what the research actually shows. Here's a sneak peek. The most searched categories by women on Pornhub aren't romance or vanilla. In this video, you'll learn about women's search habits and how understanding this can completely change the way you think about women's sexual desires. And stick around to the end because I'm going to reveal what the data shows about the connection between women's porn use and their personality traits. Women's pornography consumption has increased in recent years. As of 2021, over 30% of Pornhub's global users were women, with some countries, the Philippines in particular, reporting women as the majority of site visitors. Now, here's a little tidbit on that particular data point. I think the reason why the Philippines shows significantly greater users as women is because a lot of women from the Philippines are actually employed in the OnlyFans industry as typers. That could explain why the Philippines women are overrepresented in this example. Surveys indicate that about 1/3 of women watch porn at least once a week, with another third watching a few times a month. A substantial portion, approximately 69% of women, began using pornography during childhood or adolescence. Now, the most popular category among women is lesbian or lesbian-related content. Women, however, are significantly more likely than men to search for terms like lesbian, but also terms like BDSM, dominant and submissive, gangbang, rough sex, and romantic categories. So the research identified 4 main patterns among women's porn search habits. And the 4 categories are heterogeneous, basically lumped together as diverse interests. There was no sort of particular pattern. That was about 39% of women. The second category was traditionally feminine porn. So think things like romantic porn or softcore porn. And this accounted for about 27% of women. The next category was female pleasure. So any content focusing specifically on women's pleasure or the women's orgasm. This accounted for about 23%. And the last category was rough or violent pornography. So think things like hardcore, BDSM, rough sex. This accounted for about 11%. Here's a really interesting side note. The majority of participants in this particular study I'm talking about, which categorized women's porn search habits and broke them down into these different categories, right? The majority of participants in this study, 71% of them, 71%, identified as Democrats. So Pornhub collects a lot of data around user search habits and search patterns. They're basically a giant tech company, a giant search company for pornographic material. Pornhub reported women were more than 155% more likely to search out dominant and submissive and other BDSM-related categories on their site than men were. Women were also 71% more likely to search for things like gangbang and 63% more likely to search for double penetration content than men were. By the way, if you like this video, guys, give us a like and leave a comment down below. But let me know which of these bits of information, which of these bits of data that you found the most eye-opening. Moving on, women who received abstinence-only sex education reported higher pornography use than those with a comprehensive sex education. So it would seem, just from this limited study, that abstinence-only sex education, at least for women, tends to push them into more taboo things later on. It tends to push them in the direction revealing that taboo or kind of exploring that thing that was labeled as a stigma for them. Nearly 80% of women who use pornography perceive it as a source of sexual learning, especially regarding sexual pleasure. Now, compulsive or excessive porn use is more likely among women with lower self-acceptance and greater difficulty in goal-directed behaviors. Now, it's important to say that only about 3% of women were categorized as engaging in problematic or compulsive pornography use, which is actually associated with higher sexual motivation and emotional avoidance. The women who consume pornography compulsively tended to have a higher sexual motivation, and they also tended to be emotionally avoidant. But in this particular study, that was only 3% of the women. The study also revealed that preferences for certain genres, like rough or violent sex, tend to be linked to prior sexual victimization, sexual esteem, and a diverse range of sexual experiences in their life. Now, if you found this video interesting, you should check this video over here where I actually go into a deeper dive on some of the dark secrets of the pornographic film industry.